August 30th, 1944. Somewhere near the Belgian border. A black, rain-lashed night. The downpour drummed against the canvas tops of a column of U.S. Army trucks, speeding recklessly through the mud. They were fleeing west, away from the thunder of the front, toward a vast supply depot of the U.S. First Army. The driver's nerves were wiretight, not from fear of German ambush, but of American MPs. This was no routine supply run. It was a robbery. All identifying patches had been stripped from uniforms. Third Army markings were hastily painted over on the trucks. Their papers were forgeries. Their orders came from the very top, General George S. Patton himself. The mission was simple: infiltrate the First Army Depot, impersonate legitimate drivers, and steal 500,000 gallons of gasoline. Capture meant court-martial. Stealing from your own army was a grave crime. But to Patton, this wasn't theft. It was survival. His tanks were stranded, engines silent, on the road to Germany. Supreme Headquarters had cut him off. Eisenhower had diverted every available drop to Field Marshal Montgomery. Patton refused to accept it. "My men can eat their belts," he famously declared, "but my tanks have got to have gas." This is the untold story of the great gasoline heist of 1944, how America's most famous general turned thief to win the war, deceived his own superiors, and what Eisenhower said when he discovered Patton's fuel had vanished into the Third Army's tanks. To understand why Patton stole, you must understand the velocity of August 1944. The breakout from Normandy was spectacular. After months in the hedgerows, the Allies were unleashed, and Patton's Third Army led the charge. They moved at a pace unmatched in history, 20, 40, sometimes 60 miles a day. They liberated Paris, crossed the Seine, and chased a broken enemy toward the Reich. But speed consumes. A modern army runs on gasoline. A Sherman tank gulps a gallon per mile. Patton commanded thousands of them, plus trucks and jeeps, a beast that drank 350,000 gallons a day just to move, and 450,000 to fight. Supply lines, stretching hundreds of miles from the Normandy beaches, were snapping. The Red Ball Express ran around the clock, but it couldn't keep up. Then, politics struck. On August 29th, at Supreme Headquarters, Eisenhower faced an impossible choice. He had two racehorses, Patton in the south, Montgomery in the north, but feed for only one. The logistics system was buckling. Montgomery demanded priority. He was planning Operation Market Garden, a powerful thrust into Holland and Germany, and insisted Patton be halted so the British could advance. Eisenhower, balancing the Allied coalition, agreed. The order came down: all supplies to Montgomery's 21st Army Group. For Patton, it was a death sentence. The message arrived: Third Army will halt. You will receive no fuel until further notice. Patton exploded. A terrible mistake, he roared in his headquarters near Verdun, fist slamming the map. We have them broken. If we stop, they regroup. We are buying them time. He pleaded with General Omar Bradley. Give me 400,000 gallons, Brad. Just that. I can be in Germany in 2 days. I can end this. Bradley was powerless. Ike has made his decision, George. The gas goes to Monty. By August 31st, the Third Army ran dry. A haunting sight, miles of American tanks sat silent along the roads to the Moselle River. Crews smoked on holes, staring east at an escaping enemy. Patton toured the lines, watching his war machine stall, not by German guns, but by a shortage of paperwork. Every lost hour, he knew, would be paid for in blood. To sit here and wait is murder, he wrote in his diary. I will not do it. He summoned his chiefs. Get me gas, he ordered. I don't care how. I don't care who you have to rob. Just get it. They understood. They wouldn't wait. They would take it. The plan was audacious and criminal. Intelligence had located a massive First Army fuel depot, stocked and idle. Patton assembled a phantom truck company, tough drivers, persuasive officers. All insignias were removed, bumper codes painted over. Forged requisition papers were drawn up, purportedly signed by SHAEF itself. Under the cloak of rain and darkness, the convoy rolled north. At checkpoints, they lied: First Army supply, moving stock forward. They reached the depot. The quartermaster examined the flawless forgeries. Load them up, he said. For 4 hours, they worked, loading 500,000 gallons of gasoline, plus maps, rations, and spare tank tracks. As dawn threatened, the heavy convoy turned back, racing to Third Army lines. Patton was waiting. He watched the stolen bounty unload and allowed himself a thin smile. He turned to his commanders, filled them up. "We move in an hour." The next morning, Bradley visited, expecting to find Patton immobilized. "George, you have to stay put. You have no gas." Patton played his hand. "Well, Brad, I've done some scouting." He said nothing of the heist, even as his tanks gulped the stolen fuel. Then, a staged report arrived. Third Army tanks were engaging Germans at the Moselle. They weren't scouting, they were attacking. Bradley was suspicious. "How are you moving?" "I thought you were dry." "Found some local supplies," Patton lied. "My men are efficient." Bradley knew. He also knew winning mattered more. He chose to look the other way. "All right, George. But don't get stuck. If you do, I can't bail you out." With the purloined fuel in their veins, the Third Army lunged forward. They struck the Moselle violently, shocking Germans who believed they had weeks to dig in. The crossing was brutal, but successful. They seized Nancy, then Metz. Those 500,000 gallons bought a crucial bridgehead into Germany. Soon, the reckoning came. First Army quartermasters discovered the massive shortage. Ghost trucks were reported. The trail led straight to Patton. Historians later dissected the crisis. Many argue diverting fuel to Montgomery was Eisenhower's gravest error. Market Garden failed spectacularly. Had Patton received those official allocations, the war might have ended in 1944. Yet even on stolen scraps, Patton achieved the impossible. There's a famous photo of him from that time, dusty, weary, but with fire in his eyes. He wasn't fighting for promotion or pension. He was fighting to win. And if victory required becoming a thief, he'd be the best in Europe. Patton broke every rule, including the law against theft. Was he right to steal and attack, or should he have followed orders and waited? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this story of the rebel general, subscribe for more untold tales. Thanks for watching.